Hi, this is Thomas with Believe in the Run.
This is Meaghan with Believe in the Run.
Meg, we're bringing one of the shoes that is a fun shoe. It's the Adidas Adizero Prime X Strung 3 that we have a little bit of history with this shoe.
Version 3. Still looks just as crazy, just as high stack, but a few things have changed.
It's really technically kind of version 4 because we ran in the original one here that some people loved. But for me, I ended up having to take it off mid-run just because I twisted my ankle in it once, twisted my ankle in it again a second time during that run, and I was just like, this doesn't work for me. It basically came down, I found out, to this upper. It just didn't lock me over the midfoot well enough because when they came out with the first Strung model, all of a sudden, I could run in this shoe.
I think the majority of us here at Believe in the Run loved this shoe.
I did. I mean, at the time, there wasn't many shoes that went extremely over the 40 millimeter mark. This one being 50 millimeters, you're up there high. You always like extra height.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. It was different than that traditional max cushion soft squishy shoe that we were seeing at that time. And it was kind of like this trampoline-like, bouncy, high stack shoe.
Yeah, it felt, for once in a max cushion shoe, like something that you could pick up the pace in.
Yeah. All right, so that was the original. Then V2 Strung came out, and it kind of took a nosedive for us.
And this is the one I probably take the most flack for in my entire career of reviewing shoes. We went out to the running event. I tried on a prototype that had a ton of bounce under this midfoot here. And it was the first time they had this taco-shaped plate, so it actually had a plate above that little piece of foam and a plate under that foam. They swear it's the same one the entire time, but it just didn't have that bounce that I was expecting, so we kind of got hammered on the fact that then we retracted and said it's just not quite right after hyping it up. And it still was very popular with our heavier runners. So some of our Clydesdale runners that we have on, that do reviews for us, like Chad or John Ober, they love this shoe because of the way that it gave that extra cushioning for the big guys.
Yeah, I think my biggest issue with version 2 was that it was so bottom heavy. Because this Strung upper is really nice and light, all of the weight really was beneath the foot, and you just felt it out on the run.
Yeah, it kind of created like a pendulum effect.
All right, so now let's get on to version 3, what we're here to talk about today, and let's go over all the updates.
I mean, how extreme does this puck look?
I mean, yeah, it looks pretty wild, but I happen to love this colorway. I think it's bright and fun. I mean, if you're gonna have a 50 millimeter stack shoe, you might as well go all out with the colors. So.
Yeah, and this upper is probably the best Strung upper to date.
Yeah, I thought it fit true to size for the most part. I felt like it was a tiny bit long, but it didn't bother me out on the run.
That's strange because normally I'm like a 10, 10 and a half, and I felt like it fit perfect, true to size. I always have an issue though with these types of, uppers that don't have a clear-cut throat on them.
Yeah.
When trying to get that right fit, you've got this little bit of elastic booty up here at the front, and then you can't really cinch the shoe the way that maybe I'd like to, and especially when you get up near the collar, there's not a lot of room to dial in that like extra snug fit. And I did get a little, you have this much stack and these plates, you're gonna get maybe a little bit of lift in here. It wasn't that bad, but it just, I don't know, I'm still desiring some sort of better lockdown on this, especially with so much underfoot.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I felt like I could have just used actually like some extra padding or just like a comfort feature around the ankle and collar. And then this is definitely a me problem, but you can't take the shoe off without untying it.
I love that.
And you have to like literally undo all these laces and then redo them every time you put the shoe on.
With all that said about the upper, this is probably one of my favorite Strung uppers. I want to see this upper moved into other shoes. We actually got to go to Germany and see how they come up with the Strung. They're taking cameras in slow motion, watching how the foot goes through the stride and finding the areas where the shoe needs to either stretch or needs to be firm. This is like next level engineering here that goes into these uppers, and I love it. And the way that they're produced, it actually seems sort of eco-friendly, the way that they're printed out.
Yeah.
like that. So I don't know all the details, but I hope they keep getting it better and the fit gets dialed in.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's talk about what's beneath the foot here. So there are a few big updates from the previous version.
The Adidas Adizero Pro 4 foam is the 2 top layers of foam here, and then this bottom foam is a little bit firmer. And then in between those, we have like a smaller plate that only goes up to just underneath the forefoot. It doesn't go extend all the way to the toe. And then we're back with some rods on the bottom. So it's not the taco shape. It's more like the original where they're using the rods in there. And what I heard from their engineers was that the rods actually make it more stable because they kind of articulate independently. So giving the shoe some more stability. I did feel like this is more stable than some of the previous models.
I felt like the underfoot feel was much better than the previous version. You didn't have quite that like very dramatic, heavy feeling underfoot. I feel like, and it did actually get a little bit lighter while we're on that.
Slightly, a quarter ounce?
Yeah, so the version 2 for my women's 7.5 was 9.3 ounces, and now we're just under 9 ounces, 8.9, or 253 grams.
Should I give my weights while we're here?
Do it.
All right, for my men's US size 10.5, 11.1 ounces, or 314 grams.
Yeah, so I feel like it got a little bit lighter and it's kind of noticeable. It still feels a little bit clunky to me. Out on the roads, you can pick up the pace in this shoe, but you don't have that natural quick turnover feeling, at least I didn't. And I also think that this goes back to maybe weight a little bit. And I think if you are one of those heavier runners, you're gonna get more out of this shoe because you're just gonna compress everything that's under the foot more.
And that brings me to the point that where I was a little disappointed with this shoe. This puck looks so big and juicy. I was like, let's get that really nice bounce out of it. Let's get this like spring feeling. Like as long as we're going illegal, it's 50. Give me a trampoline effect up here in the front. And it just doesn't have that. It has, you can feel it. And I do think that maybe if you were a little heavier or really pounding hard on the shoe, you would get that foam compression. But it's not like I want to be walking in it and feel like, oh, I'm going to take off when I start running.
Well, and ironically, I actually felt like walking around in this shoe, you do feel like maybe it's got that trampoline effect. But then when I was out on the roads, and mind you, it's like 100 degrees here and 90% humidity, so not the best conditions for trying to pick up the pace or feel great out on the run. But I just felt like it didn't have that bounce like I remember the original one having.
So let's get down. We basically have light traction and the Continental rubber on the bottom. Pretty standard. You're gonna recognize it from most of the Adidas Adizero line. It works great. Sticky, tacky, everything you want in an outsole, it works.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go into how the shoe functions and like how I would use it. For me, it just doesn't feel fast enough or have that pop that I would want for race day. Now it does feel great for like daily training and just gobbling miles, and my legs felt great. I did longer double-digit runs in them, and it's a fun shoe to run in. But is it that much more fun than some of the other shoes at a much lower price point? This one runs $300.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I struggled with this shoe. I would say $300 would be worth it if it was like the most fun, light, bouncy shoe, even if it wasn't for race day, but it was just like great to lace up and go out the door. But I do think the weight is noticeable, and it just lacked, like we talked about earlier, some of that trampoline effect when you're out on the run.
One of the things that actually makes it maybe worth the $300 price, if you wanted it for a shoe that you could get tons of miles out, this is durable. It's got this great rubber bottom. This foam doesn't seem to die like the entire time. For my testing, I did a little more than normal. Probably have like 50 miles on this shoe. Still feels brand new. Still feels really responsive. The upper isn't going anywhere. Like, this is a really nice package for something that would last. So maybe where you're buying one or two other trainers, this one would probably take 600 miles to kill versus maybe 300.
Yeah, I very much agree. You're definitely going to get plenty of miles out of this guy. So in that sense, the $300 price tag isn't the worst, I suppose. Okay, before we get into form, fit, and function, the last thing I wanted to note was we said it was 50 millimeters in the heel, but it's 43 in the forefoot. So you still have a ton in the forefoot, and so 7 millimeter drop. So let's start with form. Out of 5, what are you giving it?
I love the design. It's a little heavy, so I'm gonna have to knock it for that. So I'm gonna give it a 4, which is still almost, it's pretty high.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 3, mostly because of the weight, and it still does feel a little bit bottom heavy. And then also, I just don't think it's not the most stable. It's more stable than the previous version, but again, I think someone's got to be careful if they've got some weak ankles.
All right, fit, Meg.
I'm also going to give this one a 3. Like I said earlier, it was a little bit long for me. I also just kind of craved a little bit more padding or comfort overall on the upper. I thought the lockdown was fine and the fit was generally okay. I just kind of craved a little bit more comfort.
All right, you're being tough today. I'm gonna give it a 4. I thought it fit really nicely. Areas where I'm docking a little bit is getting that complete lockdown. And I do agree with Meg, could use a little bit like more padding in the collar and heel.
All right, finally, function. What are you giving it?
This is where I gotta dock it. I just don't know. I'm giving it a 3 here. I really wish it's not as versatile as you would hope. You're not gonna use it for race day. It's not a like easy daily trainer, max cush recovery shoe. It's kind of in this weird gray area where you could use it for recovery and you could use it to pick up the pace, but it doesn't like it's not a master of either.
Yeah, I'm also gonna give it a 3. Like you said, it kind of just gets lost in what to do with this shoe. I didn't feel like it was as trampoline-y and fun as I was kind of hoping it was going to be. And then also the $300 price point, we can't deny that that's pretty steep for a shoe that I'm not in love with. So.
Well, it used to be I could justify a higher price shoe, like you've done all the training, you're spending weeks of training to get ready for a marathon, and you want to set yourself up for the best day you can possibly have. We're starting to see these shoes that are coming up in the $300 price range or $250 and above that you're like, okay, am I treating myself? Like, is it a reward for the training or is this just now the price of getting into these shoes? Especially when we have a really great selection of shoes in the 150 and of course our favorite Adidas shoe, the Evo SL, coming in at 150. I would probably tell you to buy those all day long over the Prime X.
And you can literally get 2.
Yeah, you can get 2 for the price of this guy. And you're gonna have a lot of fun in those shoes. So yeah, that's where we're talking. So Meg, that's a 9 for you.
Yep.
An 11 for me.
Green, yellowish.
Yeah, unfortunately.
We'll give it a green.
Yeah, it's gonna get a light green. It's weird, this is probably a confusing review for you because I really do like the shoe and I enjoy running in the shoe. Would I recommend it to a friend who's running? Only if they really, really wanted the shoe. If they were like, oh, I really want the Prime X3, is it good? I'd be like, yes. It's a good shoe. But if you were asking me, hey, what shoe should I get for my daily runs and maybe stuff I want to pick up the pace in, I don't know that I would go Prime X3, even over maybe the Boston 13.
It still looks good. It's still kind of fun. It's just not the #1 pick.
Make this really squishy and bouncy and all the scores go up. Like if I get a little doinger, then we're good.
Yeah, just put an actual trampoline in there.
All right, Meg, so we're reaching the end here.
Yeah, that's it.
What do you want to tell people?
If you haven't yet, definitely go subscribe to this channel, like this video. You can find us on social media, Instagram, Facebook. We've got a Strava club.
Don't forget the podcast.
And yeah, we have 2 podcasts, The Drop and Fuel for the Soul. So you can check those out wherever you listen to podcasts.
Awesome.